is Islam. The definition of Islam is submission to Allah. And so, to submit to Allah in Islam is to submit to Allah as sovereign, is the lawgiver, who not only gives the law, but his law is the supreme law. And when he makes something haram, it must be enforced as haram. And when he makes something halal, it must be enforced as halal. And so anyone who submits to any law other than Allah's law as the supreme law has said goodbye to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Al-Hakam. This is called, in the political terminology of Islam, this is called shirk. When the Khilafah was destroyed, who destroyed it? You and I, from the Quran and from the Sunnah, from the Ahadith of the Prophet ﷺ, we would know about the magnificent deception of Al-Masih al-Dajjal, who liberates the Holy Land in 1919, liberates the Holy Land of non-Jewish rule, who brings the Jews back to the Holy Land, not as tourists, but to reclaim it as their own, between 1919 and 1948, who restores a state of Israel in the Holy Land in 1948, and convinces the one-eyed Jews that this is the Israel of Nabi Dawood alayhi salam and Nabi Sulaiman alayhi salam, but of course it is not, it is an impostor. But they accept it and they embrace it. And that this Israel is about to become the ruling state in the world, replacing the United States of America. If this is to be accomplished, and the golden age of the Jews is to return one more time, and they are to rule the world, how will they do it? They will need globalization to bring all of mankind together as one global society. And they need to demolish the Ottoman Islamic Empire, which stands in their way. And they will have to demolish the institution of the Khilafah, which is the head of Islam. If you can cut off the head, then you can paralyze the body. And so the attack is now launched to cut off the head, the Khilafah. Give way to another, that the state of Israel is about to replace the United States as the ruling state in the world. Started that massive wealth which the Jews had accumulated is now going to be used strategically for the purpose of influencing the direction of the war to get the prize that the Jews want. What is that prize? To destroy the Ottoman Islamic Empire, dismantle it, and to cut off the head of Islam, namely destroy the Khilafah. And so let's make a deal. The British government said, deal. And so Jewish money, the diamonds of Kimberley, began to roll. And Jewish money now enters into the war in a massive way. 1916, the Jassasa went to work with British spies in Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia, of course, is the most well-known of them. These British spies were sent into Arabia, posing as Muslims, and by the Khalifa in Istanbul as the Sharif of the Hijaz, Mecca and Medina, in control. Makkah was under the control of an Arab battalion, but Medina was under the control of a Turkish battalion. And I wish I could understand. So when the British spies went to Hussein, they offered him the moon. They offered him the moon. We will liberate the land of the hated Ottoman Turks, and we will give you independence and freedom, and you will now become the king of the Arabs. Remember, Britain is not talking about Khilafah. No, we'll make you the king of the Arabs. And we also prepared to offer you a little, you know what, just £7 million. Sharif Hussein, the great-great-grandfather of Abdullah in Jordan now, then betrayed the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Betrayed 1400 years of history of this ummah. These people keep control of the Haramain and the Hajj. The Khilafah can never be restored. Simple, isn't it? Simple, isn't it? And so that was why they had to make the trip to Riyadh to meet, what's his name? Abdul Aziz Ibn Saud. Correct name? Of course it's the correct name. Why are you afraid to mention it? But Abdulaziz ibn Saud did not control the Hijaz. So he couldn't command the check for £7 million. He had to be content with something less than that. So what the British offered to him was, if you would sign the same kind of agreement with us and violate the specific command in the Quran and betray Allah and His Messenger and betray the Ummah, if you will do that, we pay you £5,000 a month. Would you accept that? Abdulaziz says yes. Yes. And in 1916, Abdulaziz ibn Saud signed an agreement with Britain. Yes. Which made of him a military ally of Britain, subservient to Britain. But when, and then he will attack and take control of the Haramain. And when once he does that, he won't make the mistake of ever claiming the Khilafah for himself. And he will never allow anyone else to claim the Khilafah, because no one else can take the control of the Hijaz and the Haramain from them, because they are supported by Britain. And so goodbye to the Khilafah. It's gone. It can never be restored. Never, never, never be restored. So long as Britain and the United States of America underwrite the security of the Saudi state, you can never, never, never restore the Khilafah. Mustafa Kemal inflicts a defeat on the ruling state in the world, Britain, and immediately climbs the ladder to become the hero of all heroes in Turkish history. Very convenient, isn't it? Mustafa Kemal now takes over. He is in fact de facto ruler over the Ottoman Empire, and the Khalifa is just a piece of furniture. In 1920, I think, or 21, there was a big treaty, negotiations in Versailles, and from this emerged now the Turkish Republic, which replaces the Ottoman Islamic State. But strangely for the Wahhabi movement, which is a religious movement, which declares that it is bringing back the original Islam and removing all the extraneous things which had been added and cutting out all the shirk. So this is the real Islam. Well, then how come you don't even have the subject of the Khilafah in your agenda for your conference? We asked the Wahhabi movement, give us an answer. There is no answer. The answer is that the Wahhabi-Saudi alliance is now perpetrating a gigantic, a massive betrayal of Islam in abandoning the Khilafah. And so the conference takes place. But the subject of the Khilafah is not even on the agenda of the conference. Instead, Abdulaziz ibn Saud approaches the conference twice, himself in person. And he asks the conference to recognize him as Al-Malik. That his rule should be recognized over the Hijaz. When the conference had heard His Majesty the King on both occasions, and the conference is now sitting down to discuss the matter, shall we recognize Saudi Wahhabi rule over the Hijaz? The leader of the Indian Muslim delegation jumped up to speak first. He spoke first. His name was Maulana Muhammad Ali Jawhar. He got up and he told the king, get lost. We'll never do that. As soon as the leadership of the Indian Muslim delegation had established his position of rejecting power of a man who knew Islam and lived Islam, the replacement of the Khilafah around the world, beginning with the secular Republic of Turkey, and then in 1933 the Republic of Saudi Arabia, but they're parading as a monarchy, but it's actually a secular state, because it has all the trappings of a secular state. I'm a foreigner. If this is not bid'ah, I should change my name. Of mankind, eventually the Jews will now rule the world using that structure. That's about to happen. We already made significant progress towards that day. When you read this,
بهذه المناسبة أقول لأخي عبد الله يعني 6 سنوات وأنت هارب وخايف من المواجهة، ما تخاف. بس نقول لك بعد 6 سنوات ثبت انك انت الكذب وراك والقبر قدامك، وانت هو اللي صنعتك بريطانيا وحاميتك امريكا.
يا اخ معمر، في رؤساء يتكلمون